How do you set your goals and motivate yourself to achieving those goals on a daily basis?
I think it's easy. It's easy for us, and like when we're training a big group, to be, to keep a pretty short-term focus. I think if everyone's doing their job, because we've got more than twice as many people as there are spots in our group, and everyone's really good. And so, we're competing every day, and I think that kind of dictates what our short-term goals are, right? Like, you're just trying to compete with the people next to you, and do your best, and do your best job, and not really look past the next practice, and take it one practice at a time, and then everything else takes care of itself. And so I think that the process is kind of dictated by the group environment, and obviously like the long-term goal is obvious, right?
Who's your biggest source of inspiration, whether it be a coach or somebody else important in your life?
Probably, there are a lot of people, probably my wife, who is, at least this time around, right? Like we got married after London, and she's home working really hard and really supportive of what I'm trying to do, and it's hard, and in the sense that we don't live together when I'm training. She lives in New York City, I live in Princeton, so we see each other once a week, but she's, without her support, I wouldn't be able to do it. And I think about, if I need inspiration, I just think about how hard it is, and for her, and she doesn't even get any reward out of it if we're successful, so that's pretty easy.
I heard you love to cook, and I know that, and part of it, the Olympic, an important part of the Olympic idea is your diet, and I was wondering how it is to cook and eat on an Olympic diet every day.
So I think so. When I'm in Princeton, I live with two other guys, and we actually have a cooking rotation. So we cook, we each cook one night a week, and it actually kind of it's fun. It's, as you can imagine, we're all competitive people, so we kind of get into it and try to one up each other, and so that's kind of fun, and that takes care of 3 meals a week. And the rest of the time, though, it's really like you're eating all the time. You're eating whenever you're hungry, and you're eating really whatever you want, because we have to eat so much that that kind of dictates what you're eating. And then obviously, if you don't, if certain foods make you feel bad or kind of sluggish or lethargic, then you don't really eat that stuff. And we're not really eating junk food, but it's not like it's not like there's these super specific guidelines we follow. It's pretty broad guidelines.
What's your favorite meal to cook, Charlie?
Yeah. Favorite meal to cook?
Yeah.
Probably, favorite meal to eat, probably cheeseburger. But favorite meal to cook? I don't know. There are a lot of things. Probably pasta, or
Most common meal.
Most common meal, pasta.
Yeah.
With like 100 different kinds, but
Yeah.
some kind of pasta. Chicken parm. Sorry, chicken parm. I make a really good chicken parm. You can ask anybody who's ever had it.
How does the stress intensity and feel of the Olympic lifestyle compared to the high school or collegiate rowing experience?
In high school, right, like you're doing a lot of things. You're going to, like, you don't really have one focus. You're trying to figure out what you want to do, right? So you're going to practice, and you're practicing with a team, and when you're at practice with your team, you're probably training really hard for that hour and a half or 2 hours a day, 5 days a week for a few months out of the year. But that's just one of a number of things you're doing, and it's probably there's probably something wrong if like that's all you're doing, right? Like you're trying to do well in school, you're trying to have a social life, you're trying to play sports. You're probably not just doing one sport. Then in college it gets a little more focused, and so I think as in turn, right, the pressure and the intensity get dialed up a little bit. But still, there's a lot going on. Like if you're in college, you're a student, right? You have classes. You're trying to do well in your coursework. Again, like you have a social life if you're normal, right? Like you're out having fun, and you're doing fun stuff, and you're trying to enjoy yourself. But then when you get to what we're doing, like we're only doing one thing all the time, and we're trying to do it at an extremely high level. And for us, it's almost the opposite, right? Like this year, if our focus isn't entirely on this one thing that we're doing, this one, like the sport of rowing, and every practice, every stroke of every practice, then there's something wrong, and we're probably not going to get the result we want. So I think the intensity is sort of the same in some respects, right? Like for that hour and a half, you're in high school a day, you're training really hard, and in college maybe for that 2 hours you're training every day, it's really hard. And for us, like every stroke we're trying just as hard, and every practice we're trying just as hard. It's just we're doing probably 3 times as much volume.
How is the team or boat culture like on a daily basis?
I think it's tough, right? Because we spend, like, I think first and foremost, it's professional, right? Like I think everyone comes to practice and everyone tries to do their job at practice, right? Like they try to hold themselves to a high standard and they try and hold other people to a high standard. And sometimes that means, everyone getting along, and sometimes it means, people aren't really getting along because they're getting, they're calling people out or they're saying, we need to do more of this. And but it's all part of the process, and I think that's first and foremost, it's professional. Like everyone sees that as part of the process, and you're trying to get the most out of yourself and the most out of everybody. And so it's not always a comfortable process. But at the same time, I think is like if you're in a crew and it's going really well, and some crews have really good chemistry like all the time, and they hang out all the time off the water, and sometimes crews get along really well at practice, or they function well at practice, but they don't really, you leave the boathouse and everyone just goes their different ways. And I think, this group, because it's not really just one boat, right? It's this whole group that we're training in of 25 people. It's a fairly cohesive unit. I think everyone gets along well, and it's fun. But I think first and foremost, right, it has to be professional.